I need you to do something for me. I need you to stop moving for just 1 minute. Put the phone down. Well, don't put it down. Keep listening. But stop the mental racing. I need you to really hear me. That thing you're chasing? The promotion that's supposed to make your father proud? The house with the extra bedroom you don't even have people to fill it with? The respect you think you'll get once you have that specific car or that specific body? It's not going to give you what you think it will. I'm William. I'm 77 years old. I spent 50 years, half a century, running a race where the finish line kept moving every time I got close. I spent 50 years trying to fill a hole in my soul with things that were never meant to fit there. I'm a slow learner, but I finally figured it out at 73. That's 48 years of postponed living. I'm here to make sure you don't do the same. The "I'll be happy when" trap. We all play this game. It's a trick our minds play on us to keep us grinding. We say, "I'll be happy when I pay off the debt. I'll be happy when the kids are through school. I'll be happy when I finally get that corner office and people have to call me sir." I said that my whole damn life. And you know what the joke is? I got the promotion, I paid off the house, I retired. People call me sir, I think they respect me. But at 77, you stop keeping track because you realize their opinion doesn't keep you warm at night. But here is what nobody tells you while you're young. When you get the thing, there is always another thing. The finish line isn't made of stone, it's made of mist. You run toward it, you pass through it, and you look up only to see it's moved another 5 miles down the road. The origin, my father's hands. To understand why I ran so hard, you have to understand where I started. I grew up poor. Not the kind of poor where you're starving, but the kind of poor that makes you feel invisible. My father worked at a factory for 40 years. I remember the sound of his boots on the porch every night at 6 p.m. He'd come home with hands that were beat up, skin stained with grease that no soap could ever fully wash away. He was a good man, a kind man, but I watched how the world treated him. I saw the way men in suits looked right through him at the grocery store, like he was part of the furniture. I saw the way he lowered his head when the bank manager spoke to him. I was 10 years old, standing in the dust of our driveway, and I made a vow to the universe. I looked at my father's tired back, and I said, "That is not going to be me. I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to make them look at me. I'm going to make them respect me." So I started running. I worked 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week. I treated my career like a war. I was building a kingdom. But here's what I didn't see. While I was building the kingdom, I was losing the people I was building it for. I missed the birthdays. I missed the baseball games where my son looked at the stands for a father who was at a very important meeting. I missed the quiet dinners where my wife wanted to tell me about her day, but I was too busy checking my briefcase. I was becoming somebody. By age 52, I was a vice president. I had the corner office with the view of the city. My name wasn't just on a cubicle, it was on the door. People stood up when I walked into the room. They called me sir. The peak of the wrong mountain. I remember one night specifically. It was raining. I was 52 years old, sitting in that leather chair looking out at the city lights. The office was silent. My name was on the door. I had the respect I promised that 10-year-old boy I would get. And you know what I felt? Nothing. Actually, it was worse than nothing. It was a hollow, echoing emptiness. I had climbed all the way to the top of the mountain I chose when I was 10, only to look out and realize there was no prize at the peak, just another mountain. And I was too tired to start climbing again. I had given up the substance of my life, my time, my presence, my children's childhoods for a title that felt like ashes in my mouth. The revelation, the inside job. It took me another 20 years after that night to realize what I was actually doing. I wasn't chasing money. I wasn't even chasing respect. I was chasing a feeling. I wanted to feel like I was enough. I wanted to feel like I was worthy of occupying space on this earth. I thought if I achieved enough, if the pile of gold was high enough, I'd finally feel safe. But you can't get that feeling from a paycheck. You can't get it from a title. That feeling of being enough, I could have given that to myself at 25. I didn't need a CEO's permission to feel worthy. I didn't need to earn my right to be happy. I just needed to decide. I wasted 48 years trying to earn something that was already mine. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you're 77 to realize that the finish line is a lie designed to keep you from enjoying the scenery. The lesson for tonight. You're grinding yourself into dust right now for something you think will fix your life. It won't. If you can't find peace on the way to where you're going, you aren't going to find it when you get there. Stop running for a second. Look at your hands. They aren't grease-stained like my father's, maybe, but are they holding the things that actually matter? I'm 77. I've reached the end of the race, and I'm telling you, the race was a distraction.
I want to talk to you about the biggest lie I ever told myself. It's a lie that most men, especially the ambitious ones, carry like a shield. I told myself, if I provide, I am loving. I thought that as long as the mortgage was paid, the cars were new, and the bank account was fat, I was a great husband. I thought my job was to be the wall that kept the world out. But while I was busy building that wall, I accidentally built it right between me and the woman I loved. I'm 77, and if I could go back to my 40-year-old self, I wouldn't tell him to work harder. I'd tell him to go home and sit down. Providing versus presence. In my 40s, I was a ghost, a very successful, very wealthy ghost. I provided the hell out of my marriage. If my wife mentioned a kitchen remodel, I'd have the contractors there by Monday. If she mentioned she liked a dress, I'd buy it in 3 colors. I thought that was the currency of a good life, but I was paying in the wrong currency. I remember coming home late one night. It must have been 1992. The house was beautiful. We had the crown molding, the expensive rugs, the smell of high-end candles. It was exactly what I thought success looked like. But the house was silent. My wife was in the kitchen, just sitting there with a cup of tea that had gone cold. I walked in, dropped my briefcase, that damn briefcase again, and started talking about a deal I had just closed. I was waiting for her to say, "Good job, William." I was waiting for the applause. Instead, she just looked at me, not with anger, but with something much worse. She looked at me with exhaustion. The conversation that saved my life. She said something to me that night that I remember as clearly as the day I said I do. She said, "William, I don't need the money. I need you. I need you to look at me. I need you to hear me. I need you to actually be here." I got defensive. I was an idiot. I gestured around the room at the expensive furniture and said, "What are you talking about? Look at this house. Look at what I've given you. I'm doing this for us." And she said, "No, William, you're doing this for you. You're doing this for the 10-year-old boy who's still trying to prove he's not poor. But I didn't marry that boy. I married you, and I haven't seen you in 5 years." That hit me like a physical blow. I realized I was present but absent. Even when I was at the dinner table, I was thinking about a spreadsheet. Even when we were on vacation, I was checking the market. I was a stranger living in a house I paid for. The ghost phenomenon. We almost split up when I was 48, not because of another woman or a scandal or a lack of money. It was because I was gone. I was providing the roof, but I wasn't providing the warmth. I was a great provider, but a terrible partner. See, providing for someone is a transaction. It's easy. You just trade your time for money. But being present with someone, that's an investment of the soul. That requires you to be vulnerable. It requires you to listen to stories that don't have a bottom line. It requires you to be nobody for a while so you can just be a husband or a father. I'm 77 now, and Eleanor and I made it through. We're still here. But I spent the last 20 years making up for the 40 years I spent being a ghost. I've realized that my kids don't remember the successes. They don't care about the vice presidency. They remember the one time I actually stayed for the whole baseball game and didn't check my watch. The lesson: the two accounts. Write this down. You have two bank accounts. One holds your money, the other holds your memories. If you spend your whole life filling the first one, you'll end up with a very comfortable funeral and a very empty heart. I see you out there. I see you staying late at the office thinking you're doing it for your family. Ask yourself, have you asked them what they actually want? Because I promise you, they don't want a bigger house. They want a father who knows their favorite book. They want a husband who notices when they've had a hard day. Stop being a ghost in your own hallways. The cliffhanger. I'm 77, and my friends are aging. Some are gone, and I've noticed a pattern. The ones who are dying happy aren't the ones with the most money. They're the ones who made peace with their smallness. But how do you do that? How do you stop the itch to compare yourself to your neighbor? How do you stop the "I'll be happy when" monster from eating your life?